is appetizers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Hey, what's happening? It's the Wednesday edition of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. And Robert Webb should be along sometime today. Got a cryptic message from him that said, I'm on my way. Well, you better be bringing donuts, Robert. I'm just saying. Yeah, bring some donuts, dog. No, I'm just kidding. I don't need any donuts. But Robert Webb will be along here a little bit later on, so we'll talk to him as well. Tons of things to talk about today, so we'll get into that as well. I'll also read you the tease for today as well. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about Judge Tammy Kemp. Man, what a joke. Man, we'll also give you some updates on the Joshua Brown killing. I'll give you my take on it. I'm going to be honest with you folks. It's just hard for me to believe the police right now. Don't get mad at me. I'm just being real with you. Okay? It's just hard, man. We'll give you an update on all of that as well. We'll hear from Brother Malcolm today. Also, we'll see what's on Malcolm's mind. Let me read the tease for you, okay? Judge Tammy Kemp whines as though she is being victimized. She actually broke into tears. We also update you on the Joshua Brown murder. There's been some new evidence and allegations. History was made in Montgomery, Alabama. Will it make a difference for black people? An Arkansas doctor was arrested for pushing big weight. The question is, will he be convicted? And what about all the other drug pushers out here? Okay. Wait until you hear what a Christian activist said about you and your children. You will like that. And last but not least, what the hell was the high school coach thinking in Louisiana? I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. But we'll get into all of that stuff today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about as well. Want to remind you that we are up on the podcast. So anywhere you go on your wherever you go, I should say, for your podcast, you can now catch the old shows. Or if you missed a show today, you can now go out and check it out. So Google Play, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Yesterday I posted a link to all the podcasts. So that's available. 6 different platforms, by the way. Okay? 6 different platforms. And I would appreciate you if you go out and download them and give me some comments. Also want to remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook and also YouTube. So you can check those out as well. If you go out to YouTube, do me a favor. I'm gonna ask you for a little work. go out to YouTube and subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers. Okay? Good afternoon, Robert. You see what I'm sporting today, right? Okay. Those of you who can't see me who are not online, sporting my black and white long sleeve Little Rock Central football jersey. Well, it's kind of like a practice jersey from back in the day. Has the original logo on it, by the way. Kind of partial to this one. This was given to me about 2 or 3 months ago. So appreciate that as well. All right. So that's what we have on the agenda. You're going to enjoy this show. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's show. I had a fun time doing yesterday's show. You know, a lot of people will say, man, you're just so intense. Yeah, I'm just like that, you know. But it's really because of the passion I have for what I talk about, okay? So we're going to talk about that today as well. All right. So before we do anything, we got to christen the show with the Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, this Black Fact is going to have to do with the last slave ship. You know, there are those who would say that slave ships never existed. There are those, some who would say slavery never existed. As a matter of fact, I got to go back and let me see if I can find this piece real fast about a textbook. I've told you all over and over again that you need to don't depend on the school to totally educate your children. And if you do, then you need to be paying attention to what they are teaching them. So someone sent me something, or maybe I pulled it down, and I hope I can find it as part of the Black Facts, because it kind of works great with the Black Fact that I have today. So I'm going to try to quickly find it as I wax poetically, in other words, as I stall to try to find this Black Fact, because, here it is. Okay, so check this out. It's entitled, How Slaves Felt. Okay? Life among the Negroes in Virginia in slavery times was generally happy. The Negroes went about in a cheerful manner, making a living for themselves and for those for whom they worked. They were not so unhappy as some Northerners thought they were, nor were they so happy as some Southerners claimed. The Negroes had their problems and their troubles, but they were not worried by the furious arguments going on between Northerners and Southerners over what should be done with them. In fact, they paid little attention to those arguments. Okay? Woo, Lord have mercy. That's what they're teaching you in your child. That came from a textbook, from what I understand, in Texas. I don't know what's wrong with Texas. Okay. Oh my gosh. So the Black Fact is actually about the last slave ship that came to America and why this is important to what we talk about doing Black Facts and what I've been talking about in Black Facts. This is from the Detroit News. The title of this article, and it was published by James Reeves in the Associated Press on October 5th of this year. America's last slave ship could offer a case for reparations. Alabama steamship owner Tom Mayer financed the last slave vessel that brought Africans captive to the United States, and he came out of the Civil War a wealthy man. His descendants, with land worth millions, are part of the Mobile Society's upper crust. The people whom Mayer enslaved, however, emerged from the war with freedom but little else. Census forms that documented Mayer's post-war riches list them as laborers, housewives, farmers, with nothing of value. Many of their descendants told today hold working class jobs. Now, the history of Mayer and the slave ship Clotilda may offer some of the more clear-cut cases for slavery reparations with identifiable perpetrators and victims. While no formal push for reparations has begun, the subject has been bubbling up quietly among community members since earlier this year when experts said they found the wreckage of the Clotilda in muddy waters near Mobile. Some say too many years have passed for reparations. No, white people say that. Okay. Others say the discovery of the ship makes the timing perfect. Many Clotilda descendants say reconciliation with the Mayers would suffice, perhaps a chance to discuss an intertwined history. Others hope the family helps with ambitious plans to transform a downtrodden community into a tourist attraction. Some want cash, some want nothing. Reparations debates usually involve redress of the multitude of descendants from about 4 million black people who were enslaved in the United States. But with Congress considering whether to create a reparation study commission, what might a single instance of reparations look like in the city where the nation's Atlantic slave trade finally ended? Pat Frazier, descendants of Mayer slave James Dennison, isn't sure. But she's unhappy about the lack of justice and what many consider the deafening silence of the Mayer family. I've known them to just own up. I've never known them to just own up to what happened, said Frazier. In Mobile, like many southern communities, descendants of slave owners and enslaved people are often neighbors, though in vastly different circumstances. Originally from Maine, Mayer moved south and got rich off steamboats and a sawmill. He purchased the schooner Clotilda for a reported $35,000 and financed a slave expedition to West Africa the year before the war began. The international slave trade was already outlawed, but Mayer wagered he could import slaves in defiance of the ban. Arrested after the ship carrying about 110 captives arrived and was scuttled in Mobile in 1860, he was cleared of charges by a judge according to The Dreams of Africa in Alabama, a book by Sylvain Diouf. History account says Mayer refused to provide land after the war to the freed Africans, who then scraped together money to purchase property. They founded a community called Africatown, USA, where some of the West African ways of the once enslaved people were preserved. Its remnants still exist today. Mayer listed assets including $20,000 in land and personal property in the 1870 census. A newspaper article said his son Augustine was a multimillionaire in 1905. Court records from 2012 say the Mayer family real estate company held $35 million in assets, including 22,000 acres of land, timber plus rental income, and cash. Tax records show Mayer's relatives remain large landowners with $20 million in property through the corporation. One of Timothy Mayer's distant granddaughters was feted as the white king of the city's racially segregated Mardi Gras in 2007. The black queen that year was a descendant of one of the Clotilda Africans. The Mobile area features Mayer State Park and Mayor Avenue near Africatown, and the Mayer family has signs throughout the area offering land for lease. A red concrete marker bearing the family's name stands in Tensall Delta near the spot where the Clotilda remains were found last year. There is no consensus on what reparations include for the Clotilda descendants. Jocelyn Davis, who helped organize the Clotilda Descendants Association, said conversation would be a great start. If we could just sit down at the table and just talk, that would be a powerful thing. Bill Green, a descendant of the Clotilda captive O.C. Kebe, said people are due more than talk. He called reparations an excellent idea. If not personal payments to Clotilda descendants, they could include contributions to some group to help descendants, perhaps to revitalize Africatown parks, a memorial, a Clotilda replica, housing, and businesses. I think it would be equitable for them to make some payment to the descendants of the Clotilda cargo. What is right? I think we're in the prime position to have our court system decide something, said Green. Duoff, who has closely studied the Clotilda and Africatown, said the Mayer clan inherited generational wealth while Timothy Mayer's captives scraped by. I'm going to come back to that here in just a moment. There is nothing and there is still nothing, she said. The National African American Reparations Commission, formed in 2015, is seeking an apology for slavery, plus money for business development, health, education, historic preservation, housing, criminal justice reform, and more. The mayors aren't saying what, if anything, they want to do, and have made no public comment about the Clotilda discovery. The mayors aren't going to surface, particularly now that the Clotilda has been found, said Eric Finley, who operates the African American Heritage Tour in Mobile. An attorney representing the family of Augustine Mayer III, a distant grandson of Timothy Mayer, declined to comment to the Associated Press. Other family members or their lawyers didn't return their messages. There are indications the Mayer family may have known the location of the Clotilda before researchers found it. An investigative report released by the Alabama Historical Commission quoted historian John Sledge as saying one of the mayors told him family members twice dynamited the wreck in the 1950s to retrieve valuable copper from the hull. In an interview, Sledge declined to say where he heard the story, but I really wonder how much anyone knew, he said. That's the big question, said Ted Kebe, another descendant of the Clotilda captive Ozzie Kebe. Who knew what? He wants to know more about the mayors than the lives of the people Timothy Mayer enslaved. I have no feelings about what happened. It's part of history. But I would love to meet them. They are part of our history. Now let me go back a little bit. Okay? Because I want to make sure the mayors, the reason they're not saying anything, because they know their dust is in the wind. See, these people have information, they have documents that show that this white man stole them from Africa and brought them to America. You hear that? Now, here's the one thing, the two graphs that I want to reread. I think it would be equitable for them to make some payment to the descendants of the Clotilda cargo. What is right? I think we're in a prime position to have our court system decide something. Duoff, who closely studied the Clotilda and Africatown, said that Mayer clan inherited generational wealth, while Timothy Mayer's captives scraped by. Let me read that again. The Mayer clan inherited generational wealth off the backs of slaves. So the reason I'm emphasizing that right now is because what do we hear current whites say today? Is that I wasn't back in slavery. I didn't benefit from slavery. Yeah, you did. Many of you are in the positions that you are today because of slavery. Many of your families made money, worked on plantations, raped and killed black people, and passed on that generational wealth to their descendants. This is why reparations are in order. And that's our black fact for today.
Keep listening to Black Folk.
Hey, Jackie.
For more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people. On JourneyRadio.com.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, give me a call at 615-554-0568. Yeah, I'm still on the reparations bandwagon. I'm not getting off. As long as there's breath in my body, I will demand reparations, whether you do so or not, because we are entitled to that money that our ancestors toiled, that our ancestors were killed for, that weren't able to benefit from it at all. And the Clotilda is a classic. And you know, the article said that many people in the Mayer family knew where that Clotilda was beached. They dynamited it to try to get copper. They knew the Clotilda was there. That makes them even more insidious. The Mayer family, if nobody else gets reparations, those 110 Africans that were stolen from Ghana, who now have descendants, they need to get their money. They need to come for their check. And we don't need those mamby-pamby Negroes saying, I just want to sit down and talk. I want to sit down and talk so I can give you my address and my name so you can write it properly on the check that you're going to cut for me. That's the only thing I want to talk to you about. That's the only thing I want to talk to descendants of slave owners about, is that sitting down with you so I can give you my correct name so you can write it correctly on the check that you're going to cut for me. Let's not fall into the Tammy Kemp syndrome of apologizing or accepting their apology. Oh, we didn't have nothing to do with it. Were you? No, they haven't even apologized. This country hasn't apologized for slavery. I'm on my check. And you should be teaching your children and your grandchildren. So if you pass away and you hadn't gotten your check, that your grandchildren will continue that legacy of saying, I want my check, because you deserve it. We all deserve it. All of our ancestors deserve it. And this mess where, oh, well, I didn't have anything to do with it. I wasn't back there living well. That article alone tells you that all of you benefited from slavery. A few weeks ago, I went through a list of the top 10 companies that are still existing today that benefited from slavery. Do yourself a favor. Go out and read it for yourself. Do the research yourself. Brooks Brothers, Aetna. The list goes on and on and on. That's a problem. It ain't our problem. It's America's problem, and it has to be addressed. And we want an official apology, and we want our checks. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you want to call the show, if you want to talk on the show, it's time for us to stand up. Now, quickly, I want to talk a little bit. Let's see, where do we want to go here? I am going to talk a little bit more about Judge Tammy Kemp. Okay? Oh, God. And I'm going to play something from D.L. Hughley. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to play something that someone posted this morning that disturbed me. That person was Reggie Swinton. Okay? Reggie Swinton this morning sent me a post. Well, he didn't send it to me. It came across my wall, and it was very disturbing. What this post is about, well, let me just play it for you, okay? I think you need to hear it. So, here we go. Now, please excuse the language that was in that, but I needed you to hear that. That chant is from St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, maybe you didn't hear everything that they said, but the chant embraced the N-word, nigger. This was a football team getting ready to go out to play a game last Thursday night, and this chant was led by one of the coaches for this team. Knock the N-words, S-word loose. Now, look, I'm not a snowflake. On a football field, in practice, you hear all kinds of profanity, okay? Football practice is not for the faint at heart. That's why I tell people you need to be careful when you take your kid to a football game, because you're going to hear everything from players. You're going to hear everything if you go to one of their practices. What bothered me about this particular chant is obviously the N-word. Now, I know what you're going to say, but David, you've used the N-word on your show. I have, but I use it as an example, as an adjective, to make a point about why you shouldn't use it. But here was a head football coach who was actually using the word as to fire up a predominantly black football team. In fact, they were embracing the N-word and calling themselves the N-word as if it was something great. Unfortunately, when I went out to do some research, because when I first saw it, the first thing I was going to do, and I responded to Reggie Swinton's post, and I said, where is this? Because my intent today on the show was to call that school. There is no way on God's green earth that a football coach should be using the N-word in a chant to get his players fired up. And you know what makes it even more offensive to me? Is that the football coach was black. The football coach was black. So you are reinforcing a negative stereotype in your football players, in your young men. I was offended. What I did know is that the coaches have been fired. He was fired. I'm going to read to you the letter from the St. Augustine brass. On the evening of October 4, 2019, the St. Augustine High School football team played Brother Martin High School. The game, sanctioned by the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, was subject to its rules and regulations, which mandate respect for all participants. While in the locker room just before St. Augustine football team entered the field, a coach led the team in a chant which included a racial slur. Student athletes were also encouraged to repeat the offensive racist term. The chant came to the attention of school administrators via a recording of the incident posted on social media. We were shocked and embarrassed that such blatantly offensive language would be used at any school event and directed toward our student athletes and opponents. The words and actions of the coaches and the players following his lead do not represent the values of St. Augustine has embodied in the last 6 decades. The behavior displayed in the video is indefensible and runs counter to our core values and our commitment to serving young men and their families. Not only are these actions hurtful to our community, but they also undermine the work of our founders, the Josephites, who are standard bearers for equality and civil rights. It is their legacy that includes athletics as part of the educational mission. We expect our coaches and students to uphold our views on equality, respect, and dignity and reflect these values during athletic competition. In response to the incident, we are conducting a thorough investigation with our administration, coaching staff, and others who were present to supervise the game. We take this behavior very seriously and will use the results of the investigation to determine further actions. I have asked our leadership team to use this incident to take action within our school community to ensure that words and actions meet the high standards set by the Josephites. We believe every person, whether student, coach, faculty, family member, alumnus, or guest, should feel welcome and worthy of respect. Kenneth A. St. Charles, PhD, President and CEO. You know, see, St. Augustine, I saw a few white kids in there, but it's predominantly black. And what a strong statement by Mr. St. Charles, because what was in that video is reprehensible. You're actually using the N-word for a chant. Wow. By the way, the head coach and 2 of his assistants has been fired. And rightfully so. Unlike here in Arkansas, in Dumas, where the head football coach in Dumas basically said in a text that he hate niggers. By the way, he's white. And if you don't know what's going on in Dumas, Arkansas right now, it's a mess. Because you've got players, they're down to 20 players. That coach needs to be fired. There is no way that any head coach, any person in authority ought to be using that word, period. And you want to coach black players, yet you're white, and you want to be able to use that word, and you didn't know that that text would be turned over. At least the administrators in St. Charles, or excuse me, New Orleans, had some gumption to say, we're not going to tolerate this. I don't care if you are black and you use the word. We're not going to tolerate it. But the white administration in Dumas, Arkansas, they don't care. And unfortunately, there are black people in Dumas, Arkansas who stood by this coach. Now, wait a minute. If I walk up to you and tell you that I hate you, if I tell you that I hate your guts, if I just call your name, hey John, I hate you. Or if you discover in a text that I was texting that I hate you, would you want to do anything else with me? Would you want to do anything else for me? Now, I've got a listener who said he didn't really want to coach black players. He just took the job. Well, unfortunately, unless you go to a private white school, you're going to coach black players. But in this case, because you said you a head coach, said you hate niggas in a text, and you don't think that you should lose your job? And there are black people in Dumas who are simply saying, oh, Massa, he a good coach. I like coach. That's the problem. Some of y'all in Dumas are Tammy Kemping us. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all in Dumas is Tammy Kemping us. Oh, he a good white man. He may have said a racist thing, but he ain't really racist. Well, if he ain't really racist, he wouldn't be saying racist things. Let's stop that excuse. If you're not racist, you don't say racist things. Regardless of what ethnic group you are directing your attack against. If you're not really racist, you don't say racist things. In fact, if you're not really racist, you don't have racist friends either. Something to think about, huh? 855-525-5683 is the number. I had to drop that in there. Thanks, Reggie Swinton, for pointing that out to me this morning. Although you didn't do it purposely, but it came across my wall, and I had to, as I said this morning, I needed to know who, I needed to know where that came from, and did a little research. And, you know, Google is a wonderful tool. I'm going to tell you, folks, I used to tell my kids that all the time. Google is a wonderful tool. If you want to know, Google it. That's what I do. 855-525-5683 is the number. We got to go out and take a break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. I'm Dynamic Dave on joynetradio.com.
Furniture Depot is your back-to-school headquarters. All college students, fraternities, and sororities get a two-piece living room set for only $3.99, or take advantage of our four-piece living room special, which includes sofa, love seat, chair, and ottoman for only $5.
I'm fine. Well, what happened?
Tristan said Susanna coming in. I told her come at 1.
Susanna who?
Extra
Today?
queen-size mattress.
I thought that was going to be on Tuesday.
$298.
Okay, well, that's fine.
A 5-piece dinette set for only $1.99. Huge selections and savings are going on at Cutler Furniture Depot, your back-to-school headquarters.
Call 562-8333 for directions. Who done it? The Butler done it.
En Butler's Furniture Depot hablamos español.
Do you know Keisha Cobb? You're going to be here Friday. You need to meet her. She is over a nonprofit organization that helps people get houses. And she knows a lot of stuff about how to get financing, everything. She's a bad girl. You need to meet her. So I invited her on the show for Friday.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation.
Yeah.
Our office address is 415 Norfolk Hill, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at A Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to A Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Serving the families of Clark County and the surrounding areas since 1966, it's Mitchell Funeral Home. Understanding that a funeral is a celebration of life, the entire staff of Mitchell Funeral Home takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial policies, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are a few of the services we offer. Mitchell Funeral Home, Arkadelphia, 870-246-2611. Mitchell Funeral Home. Quality you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
Try to look beyond the horrific act and see the person behind it, realizing that that person would rejoin our society. And after I left the Jean family, I just thought it rude that I not say something to her. And all I said to her is, Miss Ryder, Mr. Jean has forgiven you. Please forgive yourself, so that you can live a purposeful life. And she asked me, she said, do you think my life can still have a purpose? And I said, I know it can. And she said, well, do you think God will forgive me? I said, I know He will. And she said, well, I don't even have a Bible. I don't have a Bible. I don't know where to begin. And that's when I went and retrieved my Bible and gave it to her. And when she said, can I have a hug, I just kind of froze, and I kind of thought about my responsibilities as a person. And ironically, I was standing in a spot where I had been standing when I was inducted as a judge in this courtroom. And I remembered one of the charges that I was given was to do just, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. So I said, and she asked me again, and I said, of course. And so we got up, and she hugged me, and I hugged her back.
Welcome back to the show. That was Judge Tammy Kemp. She also went on to say, frankly, I don't think I would be getting this criticism if Miss Geiger were a black woman. I hate that we limit our compassion to one race.
I'm just going to say...
Just a moment. The voice you're about to hear is Robert Webb.
I'm just going to say what everybody around the world wants to say. Nigga, please.
Would you stop?
That's all I got to say on that.
Well, okay. That's Robert Webb, okay. I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Really?
So she's seeing the compassion in a murderer? Really?
The question I would ask is, how many other cats have you hugged that were found guilty of murder? How many others have you hugged in the past?
Let's listen to what D.L. Hughley had to say about this.
Neighbor of both of you murdered.
Yeah.
There's conspiracy theories.
But I think that if it's a situation where reverse and he had testified against a gang member, then naturally you would think of the person who benefited the most from that person's death. But to me, it's all suspicious that a man who had no enemies, that was working and lived in a luxury apartment, was a good kid, he shot in his mouth and his chest 2 days after a high-profile trial, and he had clearly stated he feared for his life. He feared testifying against the police department. And 2 days later, he's dead. And if they don't find anything, it's because I think they had something to do.
You know, people said without his testimony, she would have got off scot-free.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that the system was rigged so that she didn't get off no matter what happened. I think that if you consider the fact 10 years a trial for when you were convicted of murder, 10 years in jail when you were convicted of murder, you think that's justice. I don't have to think that, but I think that clearly there's $100,000 reward to find out what happened to this young man, and if the police didn't have anything to do with it, they should be just as motivated as anybody else trying to get the real killer.
We talked to one woman from one of the open shows, right? And she was saying, why would you be mad at people?
Why would you be mad? No, I'm not mad at the family for forgiving me. I'm mad at the judge and the bailiff for showing forgiveness. Let me ask you something. How many times did that judge come down from behind her gavel and hug somebody else? Did she hug all of them, or just the ones with blonde hair and blue uniforms? Can you tell what would America have done if that man, if it had been a black man who murdered a white woman and that black judge had come down and hugged him? Would they be talking about forgiveness now? They wouldn't, right? They'd be outraged. They'd be calling for a job.
Booyah. The controversy ain't going away.
One more time, nigga, you know you're right. You know you're right.
The controversy ain't going away because I don't care how she tried to fashion it. I don't care how she tried to dress it up with scripture. I don't care how she tried to dress it up with makeup.
Well, once they take it to church, y'all forgive them.
You know.
Once they take it to the Lord, we're going to put this on the foot of the Lord, and it's going to be all good.
No. Judge Tammy Kemp, you don't need to be on the bench. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
No, I'm not sorry.
On,
you are a charlatan. You are I hate to say it, you're a disgrace.
I thought she was hot, though. That really disappoints me.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole now. That's just sad. Because as everybody has said, and then you had the unmitigated God to say, what if they're just picking on me because it wasn't a black woman? Huh? No, you're not a victim, Tammy Kemp. If you'd have done your job and stayed on that bench and not had contact with that woman, you wouldn't be in this position. You know, I get sick and tired of people causing an issue and then saying, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you knew. You've been doing that job for quite some time now. And she's getting whatever back. She's getting a pounding, folks. And she deserves every bit of it. She's getting pounded.
Pounded hard. Huh?
Black Twitter is wearing her out.
Going in hard on her right now, ain't they?
Yes, they are. And I'm loving it. Because, again, over and over again, this forgiveness about white racism needs to stop. Remember the black facts today about the Clotilda? Are y'all going to forgive them for importing these people over here whom they're continually making millions off of the backs of slave labor? No. Judge Tammy Kemp deserves everything she gets. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now let's talk a little bit about the Joshua Brown situation. So Joshua Brown was the main witness against Amber Geiger. 2 days after the trial, he was found dead. He was shot in the chest and he was shot in the mouth. We talked about this earlier this week. Shot in the chest and shot in the mouth. Now, since then, 3 suspects have been identified and 2 have been arrested, 3 of them being black. Now, the story that I read this morning is that those men came from Louisiana to buy weed from Joshua Brown. Okay? And since then, the police have served a search warrant and found quite a bit amount of weed in Joshua Brown's apartment.
No.
They also found marijuana, THC vaping capsules as well.
No.
Okay? So here's what I'm going to say about this. I don't believe a damn word the police is saying. It was your police chief that after the trial got on national TV and said that she needs to root out corruption in her department. So you're telling me that the chief witness just happens to be found dead, and here's what they claim happened. according to one of the suspects, something happened and Brown shot first, shooting one of the other guys. And then his friend opened fire and shot and killed Brown. So he just shot him in the mouth. That was a lucky shot. I'm sorry, but I hate to tell you, but I can't believe police right now. It's not my fault. There is nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with police departments. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you if you don't believe them. There's something wrong with police departments. And you know it in your heart. You know it deep down in the recesses of your gut that there is something wrong with police in America. Whether you white, black, or polka dot, you might be sitting on a jury. I'm on a roll right now, Robert. Just break out the butter. You might be sitting on a jury.
Well,
and you might be one of those white people that acquitted a police officer and you knew he was wrong. You know in your heart that there's something wrong with police in America. And that's why you can't believe what happened to Joshua Brown. I can't believe it. And when you hear the story of police now, you know that they lie on documents, they lie on reports, and they lie to save their own skins. I'm sorry, folks. That dog ain't gonna hunt with me. I can't believe them. That's just me. I'm sorry, Robert, you were saying.
David, I'm just going to say, I can't believe you're saying that about the police. The police are the people that we believe in and trust.
That you believe in and trust.
That we need to protect us from the other bad policemen.
But they don't protect us. They don't protect themselves from bad policemen. See, I'm glad you brought that up. Because, see, if I am to believe you as a police officer, why aren't you arresting some of your own who's doing dirt? Why aren't you? Why are you standing around watching a fellow officer beat the hell out of a suspect who is handcuffed?
That's what you have to ask the FOP. You can ask me that. You got to ask the FOP.
Yeah.
It's them.
There's a problem here.
But I'm going to tell you this, though. I mean, we already know. We already know how this goes down. We already know how this goes down. I mean, so now the witness has been killed. Hopefully they take this testimony. But the witness has been killed. So when she goes up for her appeal, she won't have an opportunity to address her accuser because he's dead. So we'll see how that turns out in the appeal. But like I said, man, you know, we constantly get screwed, man. Even when we win, we lose. I mean, you know, it ain't no way around it. Even when we win, we lose.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Well, no.
And then, of course, you have folks like Judge Tammy Kemp, your girl. Boy, what a joke.
Auntie Tammy?
Yeah, what a joke. I mean, wow.
Gotta show love and compassion.
No, you don't.
I'm just right now, man. I'm always amazed by the things that happen after homicides. I'm just always amazed by it. I shouldn't say that. I'm not amazed anymore. A Black America. You know, you were talking earlier about people being upset about, you know, about what's going on in Dumas. But you know what? People should be upset about what's going on in Dumas. Black folks ain't been upset about nothing that's happening there. We just let it roll. Because if you was upset, it's no way you'd let these things continue to happen. And by these things, I mean, you think about it. Black folks used to be a protected class. And they were a protected class because of all the injustices we've dealt with over the 300 years we've been here. But guess what? That protected class was from our ancestors' sweat, tears, and blood. But then one day somebody said, you know what, we should throw the LGBT community in there. Someone said, okay, that's cool, they can come. So this is what I see. Because black people did what they did. Somebody's going to come out and say, okay, we're going to play reparations to all the protected class, the whole protected class. Guess who get money then? Muslims. Because everybody's a protected class now. Everybody's under that protected class.
White women.
White women, everybody get reparations. Man, y'all better wake up and smell the coffee. They sure gonna give it to you.
Oh, most definitely they are.
What happened in Dumas? The coach said the coach texts on social media he hate niggas, and he only got suspended for 2 weeks, and he still got his job down there with them niggas.
Yep. And some of them supported him.
Yeah, them niggas did.
Oh, coach is okay.
We love that nigga hater.
It's just sad.
Come on, Dave. You know deep down inside, you love a nigga hater too.
It's just sad, man.
Dave, why? Black people always tell you, man, this is what I believe in my heart. Black folks say every day, don't call me a nigga now. I'm going to get mad as hell you call me a nigga. But you know what? You can treat me like a nigga all you want. But you ever call me one.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, that's it. That's what we say.
Ain't that something?
But I ain't mad at you. Do what you do, homeboy. Homegirl.
855-525-5683 is the number.
Yeah, we talk to you niggas in a minute.
Call the show. We'd love to hear from you.
Can I say that on the radio? Can
Yeah,
I say
you've
nigga?
already said
Can
it.
I say nigga? I didn't know if I could say
I'd
nigga.
appreciate it if you won't keep using it.
What, I should use nigga?
No.
Is there a better word to use than nigga? Can I use darky?
We need to
Can I
stop
say
it.
coon?
See, you've been gone for 3 days and you come back raising Cain.
Can I say coon?
I've had a very nice, peaceful show.
No, you haven't. Shit. You ain't been nowhere near peaceful. Can I say coon?
You can say whatever you want, Robert. Just go right ahead. Just
Can I
go
say
right
porch
ahead.
monkey?
Yeah. All of that stuff.
I just like nigga better. But porch monkey's not bad though.
Yeah.
Coon's not bad.
By the way, did you hear the one about the Arkansas doctor who has been arrested for pushing over 1 million pills?
He must be rich.
Arkansas doctor, this is according to KTHV. Within a 2-year span, Dr. Parker prescribed approximately 1 million opioid pills and 16 gallons of codeine cough syrup.
16 gallons?
Okay.
Ooh, baby.
According to the Department of Justice, Dr. Lonnie Joseph Parker was arrested Tuesday on federal charges of overprescribing patients. Just 4 days ago, he was reinstated by the state medical board after he was suspended for prescribing 3 patients over an 8-month period with 5 gallons of codeine cough syrup known as scissor. Parker was indicated on 9 counts.
Where his office at?
Now the irony to it is that the Arkansas State Medical Board just reinstated him. And he got arrested, okay? An investigation into Dr. Parker was initiated in 2018 after complaints were received about an alleged pill mill and possible overdose death of a patient. Within a 2-year span, Parker prescribed approximately 1.2 million dosage units of opioids to 1,500 patients. Wait a minute. Okay, I got to do some math here. Okay, so let me break out my calculator here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me add one more. Okay, 1.2 million divided by 1,508 patients. Oh man, are you serious? Are you serious? That's ridiculous. All right, the question is, will this doctor do any time? Okay? By the way, the prescriptions included several prescriptions written in combination with narcotics and sedatives to high-risk diversion patients. So here's what was going on. I don't know that to be true, but I know how the game is played, is that, see, Doc was getting a kickback. Some of these guys was pushing these opioids for this doctor, and he was getting a kickback. One of those pills on the street, if it's the high dosage pill, is worth $25. Did you hear what I just said? One of those pills on the street is worth $25. Hello? Good old Dr. Parker.
I need his phone number. What's his phone number?
Well, he'll probably have to call you collect now, and you'll have to reverse the charges.
I need that doctor.
You know,
that's a good doctor.
Well, I'm just wondering.
He knows that I'm sick, and he provides prescriptions that I need.
1.2 million dosages of opioids, and 16 gallons of codeine cough syrup.
My kind of doctor, man.
Alrighty then.
My kind of doctor.
And the irony is that the Arkansas State Medical Board just reinstated him.
And they should. He's a great doctor. We should rally support for Dr. Feelgood. Dr. Let's Get High. I bet he got some amazing parties in his house.
I bet he has some amazing patients too.
Yeah, he did.
Boy, that's crazy. Right here in Arkansas. Yeah. Good old Arkansas.
What was that at anyway?
Texarkana.
You gotta make a trip, dog. Road trip?
No.
Man, you scared, man.
Sorry.
You scared.
Sorry. I ain't going. I don't look good in orange.
We can't. We just get some medicine, man. We's back hurting, and I got a cold.
Okay.
I got tremendous back pain, and I can't get rid of this. I can't get rid of these flu symptoms. Let's get down there and get some meds.
Okay. All right. Coming up next time, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Little Rock as it relates to the schools. Got a special guest in the studio.
Special. Ooh.
And of course, we'll get into some other interesting things that are going on as well. And y'all do Tammy Kemp a favor. Write her a positive tweet.
Nigga, please.
Back in a moment.
Susanna, Dave.
Hello.
I talk to you.
How are you?
How you doing, Dave?
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
What's
Okay.
Susanna?
Yeah, that can happen when you don't advertise. I have
And
And did you do the Central Lives ad?
Yes.
I think I talked to you on the phone
Yes.
before.
And let the
Nice to
world
meet you in
know
person.
that you're in
Sure.
business. I know what you're thinking. Advertising is
Are you a Central alum?
I'm not. I went to school in rural Arkansas.
Where? Mina, okay.
We won't hold on.
Yeah.
For startup.
I should be a Central alum. I probably would have loved it.
You would have.
615-554.
You would have.
68. And I'll put together a package specifically for your
So
business.
we're talking about
Now
what
is
I
the
got going
time
on.
to tell the
Yeah, I was just
world,
gonna kinda
hey, I'm in business.
Give
Come
people
spend
some
your money
context
on
and talk
quality
about the
goods
individual
in
denied
my
and the
store.
board meeting
Let us
tomorrow.
help
Is
you
that
at
right?
jordanradio.com. Here's the number. Call me 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand.
Hi, I'm attorney Theo Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theo Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
Who done it? The butler got it. Butler Furniture Depot.
Butler Furniture Depot is your back-to-school headquarters. All college students, fraternities, and sororities get a two-piece living room set for only $3.99.
Oh, I did find
Advantage of our four-piece living room special, which includes sofa, love seat, chair, and ottoman for only $5.99. Quantities are limited.
Who done it? The
For community health care.
Furniture
Yeah, I found one over and picked it
Or
up.
what about an extra
Pick
thick
it up
queen-size
portion.
mattress,
Yeah.
full or queen size for only $2.98?
Yeah, she's supposed to be
or
doing
an
another
Ashley
400.
signature four-piece bedroom set for $4.99, or a five-piece dinette set for only $1.99. Huge selections
glad to get
and
what I got.
savings are going on at Butler Furniture Depot, your back-to-school headquarters.
Call 562-8333 for directions. Who done it? The butler done it.
En Butler Furniture Depot hablamos español.
Who done it? The butler done it. Butler Furniture Depot.
Serving the families of Clark County and the surrounding area since 1966, it's Mitchell Funeral Home. Understanding that a funeral is a celebration of life, the entire staff of Mitchell Funeral Home takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial policies, life insurance.
We'll keep you about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That sounds great.
All right.
Funeral Home, Arkadelphia,
Sure.
870-246.
Hey, we are all for public education around here. Trust
Quality
me.
you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
You got it. Each Little Rock's answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. We're here Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. on joinnetradio.com. Want to remind everyone that the podcasts are up and rolling out there. So whatever platform you use to get your podcast, please, by all means, go ahead and download that thing. And so I can get some hits, man. What's up with y'all? Okay? All right, so got a lot of stuff to talk about in this hour, but first, we got a special guest in studio. As you know, there's a lot of things going on here in the Little Rock area as it relates to the schools, the school system, the lack of a school board, the hijacking of the school board, the theft of the school board, whatever you want to call it, the throw the rock and hide your hand governor. You name it, it's happening. And today we're going to talk to Susanna O'Donnell with the Arkansas Education Association. O'Daniel. I see she wrote it down and I can't even read. I'm so excited. I get excited when we have guests.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I'm saying?
You're still on Tammy Kemp. Stop.
I've put her on the back burner for now. I got more for her later in the show. Okay. But Susanna O'Daniel is in studio with us today to talk a little bit about the next steps, what's going on, things of that nature. Susanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let me make sure I got your mic on. Okay, try that again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you, of course, as I was telling you a couple of moments ago, that we are for public education. Both of us are proud graduates of public education.
Hell to the go.
And that's right, hell to the black, Little Rock Central. Now does she lack? And
we love
so let our motto be
victory.
Little Rock
Central.
Hi.
All right,
you okay now? Okay,
I'm good now. Let's go, baby.
So let's talk a little bit about what's happening now. Of course, there have been a series of protests. I know Dr. Anika Whitfield has been out there helping to lead the charge. Where are we now as it relates to this mess that the governor and Walmart has created?
Right, so we are really in the final 24 hours ahead of the State Board of Education's vote on how to help on their plan to move forward with the Little Rock School District. And so late last month there was a kind of emergency meeting called with fewer than 16 hours public notice, and they discussed as they call it, a framework for the Little Rock School District, which divides the district in 3 different groups depending on the letter grade that's been assigned to those schools. And so there's kind of a 3-tiered plan. And the real concerning thing about that, other than just assigning a letter grade to a school, which is problematic when we have kids who are doing well at all of our schools, and we certainly have schools that need more resources. But
before you go on, I think I'm glad you said that, because if I'm an A student at one of the quote-unquote underperforming schools, then if you say that my school has an F, what does that make me feel like as
That's
a
right.
student?
I mean, it's really concerning because we know that our students are internalizing these labels. And we have a lot of concerns about this type of kind of blaming and shaming of teachers in some of these schools. And really the places where they need the most uplift, they need the most supports, they need the most encouragement, whether they're an A student or a student that needs, you know, the additional wraparound services. To achieve. And so we have concerns about just the grade lettering system used across the state in all school districts. But unfortunately here in Little Rock it's being used as a metric to divide the district and not completely turn the district back to local control.
Well, some say to resegregate the district because most of those schools that have the lower letter grades are in the African American communities. And if they go with this plan, then basically what they've done is, and you know, some people argue that this has been in the works since 1957, is to resegregate Little Rock schools. And if they go with this plan, that's exactly what's going to happen. Whether the governor disagrees with that or not, that's what's going to happen.
Right, and you know, look, we know that I-630 has largely been the racial dividing line in the city of Little Rock. We know the history there. Mosaic Templars kind of marks that space and some really painful racial history there, right along I-630. And if you look at a map, the schools that are deemed F schools that will not be returned to local control under the framework that the state board has adopted are largely south of I-630. And so it's clear that this plan does segregate the district when a parent in one school versus a parent in another school may not have the same amount of leverage or input to help improve their child's school or to have their concerns addressed, because you have one parent who may have access to a democratically elected school board under this plan and another parent who does not have that option.
And it makes you wonder, those parents who don't get the portion of the school board, who's going to be the quote-unquote overseer and who's going to appoint them?
Right, there are a lot of details that we don't know about. So when the board met last month, they just put this very short framework out there, adopted that, but there are so many details about how that might be operationalized that have not yet come to light.
I'd like for you to comment on Mike Poore sending out a letter telling teachers that they can't strike. Now, I'm not saying to strike, but I just find that ironic that a couple of days before the new school, the meeting, that he sends out that letter. What do you think his motivation behind that?
I mean, I think he's doing his job. You know, I think he has to step into that role of superintendent and put that communication out there. I don't work for the Little Rock School District, so I can't speak for him and why he chose to send that out and the timing of that. But I really felt like he, again, I don't mean to speak for him, but he probably felt compelled in his position. He still has a school district to run, and probably felt compelled to make that communication.
So where do we go from here? Let's say, for instance, tomorrow the board passes this new, I don't know what you call it, this new, what am I trying to, this new whatever. I want to call it something else, but we're on radio.
Nobody really knows what they're going to pass tomorrow.
Right. But what happens now? Because it's looking like it's going to be passed. I don't think that the governor is listening to it's clear he's not listening to the people. And his underlings certainly aren't, because they work at the behest of the governor. What happens next?
Yeah, I mean, we're really concerned because, as you know, the state's had control of the district for nearly 5 years. And in that time, we have not seen the type of improvement that we were promised under state control. We still have a number of schools, as we mentioned, who are underperforming and need those additional supports. And what's interesting about it is, in addition to this plan that divides the schools into 3 separate kind of buckets of how much local control they get, and essentially segregates the schools in that regard. The second proposal and surprise proposal that was put on the table during this last meeting was to actually remove recognition from the Little Rock Education Association, which is the professional association that represents more than 70% of the educators in the district. And so here we have a school board, or excuse me, the state board that's had control of the district for nearly 5 years, has not increased the outcomes for teachers, or for the students, excuse me, has not engaged the community in a positive way, in any way that shows that they're listening to the community. And yet, the only people that are being held accountable in this situation are the teachers. And so the only lever they're pulling is to remove recognition of the Teachers Professional Association, which is the Little Rock Education Association.
Go after the low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. I mean, you've got the board members who have no accountability. They're appointed, so there's no kind of election in which they are going to be accountable to the people. But you have teachers who have shown up for their kids every day throughout the 5 years that they've been under state control, and in sometimes very demoralizing situations when they feel like they're not being heard. And who knows best what our kids need? I mean, it's the teachers are spending the most waking hours with the kids.
Right.
They know when their kids don't have a backpack. They know when their kids showed up to school and don't have food in their stomach and are ready to learn. They know if they've been a victim or witness to violence that day. And so when you have the experts on the ground who are the core advocates for kids completely cut out of the situation, we've got a really big problem here. And then your reaction to that as the state is to pull a lever to actually remove their voice by proposing to basically decertify their professional association that represents them at the bargaining table when they look at their contracts, their work environments, and their teaching and learning environments. So it's extremely problematic, and we're very concerned.
One of the things a friend of mine was talking to me, and I guess she's from Philadelphia, and she was asking what's going on in Little Rock as it relates to the schools. And she asked the question, why hasn't someone sued the state of Arkansas? Why, and I asked the question yesterday on the show as well, why hasn't the LREA, the AEA,
NEA.
The NEA,
all of the letters.
All of the letters.
Yes.
And the NAACP, the Urban League, the ACLU, why haven't someone launched a lawsuit to at least to get an injunction and have an arbitrator maybe to decide what's going on? Has anyone thought about that? Is that on the agenda?
Absolutely. We have been in contact with a whole team of lawyers who are very interested and concerned, both from some of the procedural ways the state has gone about doing this, which have not been, we don't think that they've been above board in certain aspects.
No.
And then certainly, and I'm not an attorney, but some of the things I've heard is that, is there an equal protection case to be made here, that we have students in kind of different, being categorized in different ways, and having the state law applied in different ways. And so, rest assured, there's a team of attorneys that are taking a close look at a legal path forward.
Well, I'm not an attorney either, but I would love for someone to go after them as it relates to the state and Walmart purposely trying to undermine the education system in this city. I mean, in this state, period, because that's basically what they're doing. Now, no one wants to really say that, but I can say it on this show. And by the way, this has been a mission of the Republican Party for decades, and that is to decertify every type of union it is, with the teachers union being one of the most powerful in the country. They're doing this in states across the country, and Arkansas is just our time, in the barrel, so to speak. And until someone goes after them, in my opinion, and sues their pants off, I think this is going to continue.
I mean, you're right, it is troubling. It's just that we are kind of in the backyard of the Walton Family Foundation here in Arkansas, having been based up in the northwest corner of our state. And so sometimes it almost feels like an experimentation ground for what they might scale up as a strategy nationwide. So it is deeply concerning, and I totally agree about a legal path, but just know there are attorneys meeting and discussing a legal path forward here.
Fantastic. So you all have got some events coming up. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yes, we have two big things coming up, and the first thing is tonight at 7:30 here in Little Rock. It'll be at Little Rock Central High School out front. It's going to be a candlelight vigil. We're going to have speakers from the faith community there. We're going to have students, educators, the the State Teacher of the Year, Stacy McAdoo, who's been an outstanding voice, and he's also a teacher.
Yeah, wrote an excellent editorial the other day, too.
Little Rock Central High School
Yeah.
had a great piece in the paper on Sunday,
Yeah.
really beautifully done, talking about how she actually sits on the State Board of Education in her role as the State Teacher of the Year, was never consulted about this plan. So that's extremely problematic. And just to add to that, when the meeting was called, as I mentioned last month in such short notice, she was actually out of town at a National Teacher of the Year event in St. Louis. So they knew she was out of town when that meeting was called, and so she was not even in the room or in the state to kind of raise her voice. So we've got a lot of stuff happening. CNN is here on the ground. They've been filming out in front of Central High, so this is getting a lot of national attention ahead of the vigil tonight. And so it's going to be time for the community to come together and just say we support our students, we support our educators, we support our community. And we know that public schools matter. Public schools and having a free public education is the promise of America, that it is what every child is entitled to, not only in Arkansas but across our country, and it's worth fighting for. And so we have that tonight. Everyone's invited. We'll have t-shirts, we'll have candles, we'll have music and song, we'll have speakers, and we just invite the entire community to come out and get behind the Little Rock School District. 7:30 at Central High School tonight.
So is that
that's
going to
the
be on the
first
front lawn?
It will be, yes.
Okay.
7:30 tonight, Central High School, everyone's invited. And then the other big event is tomorrow morning. It starts tomorrow morning. It is going to be the actual State Board of Education meeting, where they will take up these two issues of what will this framework that they've put forward look like moving forward for the Little Rock School District. Will they keep these kind of three buckets of categories for the schools? And will they move forward on removing the recognition of the Little Rock School or Little Rock Education Association? And so those are the two proposals. We invite the community to come out, show support. Red is the color. Everybody wear red. If you have anything red, a red scarf, a red shirt, we'll have t-shirts available tonight for people. We have 1,000 t-shirts, and so we hope to give each one of them away tonight. Save the shirt, wear it again tomorrow at the state board meeting. But we will be meeting at the state board meeting. That's at the Arkansas Department of Education building, which is immediately behind the state capitol.
Okay.
So on the Capitol complex. And that meeting will start tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the Arkansas Department of Education, again behind the state capitol. So we invite the community to come, pack out the room, and show support for the district.
Well, certainly. Go ahead, Rob.
One quick question. One of the let's just say, why a vigil?
Why a vigil?
Why a vigil? Yeah.
I really think that it demonstrates how concerning and deeply solemn this event is. When you have a situation of a state actor doing this to our students. I mean, it's not a celebration. It's not a party. It is a time for us to get together and truly understand the dark and devastating effects that this plan could have on our students. And I think it is reflective of the mood of the community who are deeply, deeply troubled by the actions of the state.
Is it time for people to call out those people who are responsible? Governor Hutchinson and the Walmart Foundation. Because since I've been back, I have not heard enough of that. People have been blaming Johnny Key, Mike Poore. They are only agents of those two entities. Is it time to put them on Front Street and say, hey, here is the problem? Because it looks like Arkansas was trying to move towards a full charter school system. And we know that doesn't work. All we have to do is look at Louisiana. It's a mess down there. Okay? So, other than a lawsuit, are there any other tactics that are available or that you all will, that you can divulge to us today that people can get involved in to help move this process forward, not just to get the school district back, but to change it? And I don't mean to ramble on, but the governor just passed a 3-4 cents tax for highways, but you can't pass that same tax for schools. I don't understand that.
Well, you hit on a topic I really like to talk about, which is tax policy. Mm-hmm. And the reason that the we've all just felt it at the pump. It started last Tuesday,
Yes.
the 3-cent increase in our gasoline. And, you know, I believe in public services and public infrastructure, whether it's schools or roads. And I don't love paying taxes, but I understand why we need to pay taxes and support these things that we all benefit from. However, the deeply troubling thing about that particular tax is that almost the same amount of revenue that we are looking to bring in for our highways is the same amount of revenue the state lost when they passed a tax cut this last legislative session just a few months ago for those in our state earning over $500,000 a year. And so the people who have benefited from the most recent round of tax cuts, I don't know that I know anybody who makes over $500,000 a year.
You know Robert, don't you?
Robert may
Well, that's funny.
but we've got a tax that each of us will pay, even those who don't have a car, right? Because an increased fuel tax will be passed along in the goods and services that are delivered to us. And so, you know, that type of taxation is extremely regressive. It hurts low-income families the worst, all while the last round of tax cuts has benefited not only upper middle class people, but I mean, you're wealthy at that point if you earn over $500,000 a year. And so it's deeply concerning, not only from, you know, the way it was done, but from the fact that clearly we have winners and losers that have been chosen through this process.
You know, I just learned something. I did not know that offset, that that tax cut this increase is going to offset that tax cut that he gave to. But again, Republican policies, that's what they do.
Well, and I think it's an admission that, look, things cost money. We want good, strong public schools. We have to make that investment.
Right.
We want roads without potholes in them and bridges that don't collapse. We have to make an investment in it. We want the fire trucks to come when our house is on fire. We've got to make that investment. And so, you know, that's part of the thing that we all agree to. It's part of being citizens in this country, right? It's part of our citizenship we've learned about in school is working together as a community to invest in the things from which we can all benefit. And so, it's deeply troubling. And certainly public budgets are moral documents because we put together our public budgets and we decide what is the most important to us. Is it public education or is it tax cuts for those who, quite frankly, don't need them?
Well, I think that's been proven out now, which is most important, at least to this administration here in Arkansas. Anything else you want to share with our listeners? I know you're going to run here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you both for having me on, helping us get the word out about this, and elevating the voice of our students, our parents, our teachers, who will be impacted by this decision tomorrow morning. I just want to reiterate, we want to invite the entire community out tonight at Central High School, 7:30 tonight. We'll have t-shirts, we'll have signs, we'll have candles, music, and just community being together in support of our students, first and foremost. And then the second thing is tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at 9 a.m. At the Arkansas Department of Education building, which is located immediately behind the state capitol. People will begin to gather there. The meeting starts at 9 a.m. Although I will say we don't anticipate the Little Rock issue being on the agenda until the afternoon, but that can always change. It is on the agenda for tomorrow. So just any support you can show our kids, our teachers, and just being a member of the community. We just would appreciate everyone being out. We know we've got firefighters coming out, churches, sororities, fraternities. We've had really a strong response from the community. So thank you.
You have any other questions?
I'm good.
All right. Well, Susanna O'Daniel got it right.
There
you go.
Finally.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have my glasses. I put my glasses.
4 tries.
You know.
4 tries.
Okay, you know, as long as I keep trying. But we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming out, and I will echo my sentiments and my support for public education. Of course, as I said earlier, I'm a proud graduate of a public school.
Hell to the old go.
We ain't doing that again, Robert.
He tried it.
You know, it's almost like Pavlov's dog. I'm supposed to.
You're supposed to do it. You can't stop that.
But we are proud graduates of a public education. Don't do it.
Hell to the old
Don't
go.
do it. And you know, it's problematic for all of us. I'm trying to be serious, okay?
I'll let you be serious. Go ahead. Hell to the old go.
And we will do everything. I'm gonna get you for this. I'm gonna turn your mic off. We'll do everything that we can here at Joinette. You know, and it's, you know, and I want to say, you know, some of the people out there that are listening, look, The bottom line is that the majority of the kids in the state of Arkansas are going to go to public schools. And we ought to be doing everything possible to make that those schools are the best. If you want economic development, you want companies to move to Arkansas, one of the main things that they look at is the public education. And if we have governors, senators, representatives, whatever the case may be, who is not on board with that, the best thing you can do is vote their tails out. But at this point, we need to come together. We need to support the school system. You know, at the end of the day, if you're mad at a teacher and you ain't going to support it, then it's going to be to your downfall, to be totally honest. It really is, because at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat with this education thing in Arkansas. We are. Whether your child goes to a private school or a parochial school or a charter school, at the end of the day, miseducation of children in the state of Arkansas is not going to benefit this state at all.
Correct.
Okay? Did I say that okay?
A plus.
Okay, thank you. So,
Just kissing her. Please.
I can't help because I'm informed and aware of the situation, and you're not.
Hell to no go.
Hell to the block.
None of that shit. See, I got it. I know it's taking me.
Susanna, Donna, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for
Anytime
having
you all need a forum, you want to keep us up to date. Now, we have a standing day of Tuesday, every Tuesday. So if y'all got something going on.
Day.
So every Tuesday, call Robert, call myself, and say, hey, look, can we come in, talk about a couple of things that's going on, because we've set aside that day.
Good.
That 2-hour block is for AEM.
For it. So if y'all need to take the whole 2 hours, we'll give it to you.
30 minutes, an hour,
You know, it
45
doesn't
minutes,
matter.
whatever you need.
We're serious.
We appreciate
Okay.
that, because public education affects every single person, whether you have kids or you
Yep.
don't, and it's vitally important. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Sure, no problem. And hey, thanks for coming
Thank you
in,
for
and
having
keep
me.
up the great fight,
Appreciate it.
okay?
Thank you.
All right. Hey, that's Suzanne O'Daniel from the Arkansas Education Association. Remember, get out to Little Rock Central this evening at 7:30. Get to the Arkansas Education Association tomorrow.
Good.
Get there early. There's not much parking around there, so get there early, okay? We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
All right. Dave.
Hang on. Sure. You too, and hey, you're welcome anytime you want to come back. Yes, you did great.
All right, we got Gary Newton coming on Monday.
Who is Gary Newton?
He's the opposing guy.
Oh.
Give both sides.
Oh, so I have to be nice to him?
No. We want to get both sides. Though.
Oh, we'll be glad to give both sides. That ought to be real interesting. We was up to 30 people. We're up to 30 folks on the app.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of a life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their service. So, as to serve you, call now. Connect at 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. You still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more of it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
LeBron James is the greatest player we've seen this generation. You have to be careful when you start saying, and so, well, he went as good as Michael, or he went as good as Magic. Every generation you get that. You begin to sound like that old man that lives down the street, and every time you walk on his yard, and you even walk by his yard, he's on the porch, and he's got that little crooked finger, he's like, get off my lawn! Get off my lawn!
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com.
Get off my lawn!
All right, welcome back to the show. Want to thank Susanna O'Daniel for coming in to give us an update on what's going on. If you are in the area, or if you're not in the area, if you support public education, get out to Little Rock Central tonight and down to the board tomorrow to show that you support public education. And I think the point that I want to make is that at the end of the day, if you're mad at a teacher because your child didn't do the work, so you hoping that they lose their job, that is so short-sighted. You know, I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of public school administrators. And these people are some great people. And here's the bottom line. Doesn't it make sense to give the person who spends the second most time with your child all the support that they need? You all realize that, right? Teachers spend second most time, other than the parent, with your children. You ought to be supporting them 100%. That's not saying support them without, just openly. But you should be doing everything you can to support these teachers. Look, every job that you have, if you did your due diligence in school, is because of a teacher. And even if you didn't do your due diligence, you learned something that is carrying you forward because of a teacher. There is no other profession in the world that touches so many of us, literally touches everybody that is born, is a teacher. We need to support them. Okay?
Yeah, turn my phone on. Yeah, hell with the students. Let's get behind these teachers, man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. See, you
I'm
always
just checking.
Why you always trying to twist my words?
I'm just checking.
You've been off for 2 days, and you've really come in here with a raw attitude today.
So?
And it's bringing down my karma. Or maybe I'm constipated.
You sick.
All right, here's a story I wanted to hit with you. Speaking of which, and I think it's certainly appropriate for what we're talking about right now. Automation to hit African Americans disproportionately. Did you hear what I said? Automation to hit African Americans disproportionately. I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. The employment outlook for African Americans will worsen dramatically as automation upends the workforce, according to a new report from McKinsey and Company. Why it matters? By 2030, African American workers stand to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs as a result of increased automation, widening the racial wealth gap and weighing down the overall U.S. growth. The problem will be particularly acute to men, younger workers between 18 and 35, and those without a college degree, according to the report. The future of work in Black America. The cost. Researchers have projected that closing the racial gap could net the U.S. economy between $1.1 and $1.5 trillion by 2028. The additional loss of jobs and buying power from African Americans could mean further opportunity cost losses. African American workers are at risk of exceptional job losses for 3 key reasons. They are overrepresented in support roles that are most likely to be affected by automation, such as truck drivers, food service workers, office clerks. They have an unemployment rate that is double that of white workers, even when controlling for education, duration of unemployment, and the cause of unemployment. They are underrepresented in 5 of the 6 parts of the country projected to grow the fastest and over represented in parts of the country that are on pace to see the slowest growth. Researchers found more than 200 counties, largely concentrated in the Southeast and Midwest, where a decline in African American net job growth could occur alongside an increase in job growth for white employees. African American women are expected to fare better than men, in part because of their strengths in the field's projected growth: home health aides, nursing assistants, and personal care aides. The bottom line from Kevin Waddell, the co-author of Axia's Future: preparations for the future of work, like job training programs and potential new safety nets, will need to be tailored in part to groups who will bear the brunt of the changes. And just so you know, the top 10 regions for African American job growth as of 2017, from 2017 to 2030: Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Orlando, Charlotte, Fort Worth, Raleigh, Miami, Brooklyn, and believe it or not, Los Angeles, with that $5 a gallon gas out there. I just thought I'd throw that out there since we're talking about education, folks. You're not preparing yourself, you're going to be left behind. If you're not preparing your children, you're going to be left behind. If you decide that you don't need to invest in black businesses, we're going to be left behind. We're going to repeat the same things that we're repeating today, 20 years from now. I'm just saying. Robert, you got some thoughts on that?
Oh, man. No, man. Damn. You just laid it out.
It's crazy, man. It really is. We have to do a better job of preparing ourselves, our children. That's why the things that are set up to educate our children, man, we ought to have our fingers all in that. All of it. You know, if it ain't working well for your kids, then take your butt to the PTA meeting. Go meet the teacher. You know, I'm thinking about the teacher in Russellville who had no clue that a child in her class, well, she had a clue, but she didn't know how to deal with him. He was autistic, and because he wasn't working well with others, she decided that she was going to put her hands on him. That's a person that should not be teaching. Because at the end of the day, the teachers that I know...
You want to give her a hug?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I want to give her a hug with 5 knuckles.
Well, 4 knuckles.
No, yeah, I guess it would be 4.
No, it's okay.
You know,
I understood.
You know. But I'm just saying, man, we've got to do a better job in supporting our teachers. You know, those who want to work for children.
I don't disagree.
We've got to do a better job. You know.
Support. You said support who now?
Our teachers.
Oh, okay.
Because I have to believe that overwhelmingly most teachers want to solve this problem. They want our children to be educated. I have to believe that, you know, so I'm just saying. 855-525-5683. Render to God and Trump. Ralph Reed calls for 2020 obedience to Trump. That reminds me. So, you know, I've often asked you, you know what, you're right, LaTanya said they need to pay teachers more money. You're exactly right. I think teachers ought to be paid at least $80,000 a year across the board.
Really? Starting out?
Yes.
Really?
Especially, and I would argue that the teachers who are teaching the younger kids, preschool, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, they ought to be paid the most.
Really?
You know why?
No.
Because that's where your foundation is built in learning.
I get that.
Okay?
I get that, yeah.
And if you start paying these teachers, then you'll get people in teaching that have the expertise, the knowledge that can inspire some of these kids. Right now, you're not getting any of that. These teachers are struggling to get by, you know, and then the irony is many of them are even taking money out of their own pockets to take care of some of these kids. Now, that's not all of them, But I know a lot of teachers, and they're good people, and they're struggling to pay their own bills. You know, teachers shouldn't have to go work a part-time job.
I agree with that.
They shouldn't.
I agree with that.
They shouldn't have to work a part-time job. The most valuable asset that any nation has are its children.
But Dave, again, this conversation is kind of pointless. The reason I say that is because every year,
here comes the wet blanket.
Every year, they do it every. I don't think it's every year. I think it's every other year. They do what they call adequacy funding for public education.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, if ADQ says, you know what, we should make it 2.5%,
they cut it.
They say, well, you know, we think it should be 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we're gonna fight with them, we want to fight with them. Let's have a fight together that we all fighting for this thing. Because unfortunately, what's happening now is nobody's fighting. We're all talking, but we're really not fighting.
Yeah.
We're really not having a real conversation about how public education should look. And we're not even listening to the people who are in public education who should be giving us counsel saying, hey, this is what we think public education should look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not having those conversations. And so all the other things we're doing are great. I understand that we have to do them because we're being reactionary right now. But at what point do we step back and say, let's really fix this thing? Let's really overhaul our education system and let's fix it.
I agree with you totally. Let's listen to, if we can get it going here, a crazy religious zealot. This is why you got to be careful who prays with your children. Listen to this.
Necessarily perfect in every way that we would like. That's not he don't choose it. We don't choose them. All we have to do is recognize it. And when you recognize a chosen one, and you have the discernment to know that they've been chosen, and know that that's the will of God, then your life will be blessed. And if you come against the chosen one of God, okay, you are bringing upon you and your children and your children's children curses like you have never seen.
That's right.
It puts a holy fear in you, you know. And
they're taking the promise of this man that God has chosen.
Right. And you don't look for a perfect person. You look for the one God's chosen.
This.
Who do you think they're talking about? Who was that chosen person?
Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These white folks done lost their damn minds.
Yeah, no, they haven't. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
So,
They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
So that, by the way, that was Jim Baker and some of his lunatic fringe friends talking about Donald Trump is the chosen one by God. Now, if I use your God as a reference point that you are talking about, Jim Baker, then hell, all of us would still be slaves right now. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And this is why, and what I'm doing is I'm circling it back around to Judge Kemp. This is why your argument holds no water. Because some of these white folks out here don't give a damn about you. I hate to say it. They could care less. Look, if they really cared, you know, the old saying is, those who are pro-life, they're pro-life until the baby gets here. But many of those same people that are pro-life are pro-death penalty. They refuse to feed children. They stand and support a president who locks up children and separates children from their parents at the border. You can't have it both ways. And you got to be careful when someone is always using the word of God to say someone is chosen. You got to be careful with that, folks. Hey, I can easily say I'm a prophet. Well, I am.
You're so prophetic.
You know, I've proven on this show that I'm prophetic about a lot of things. But you got to watch out for these religious zealots, man.
Wow.
And especially Jim Baker.
You got a bunch of them. They ain't just white folks, they black folks.
Well, I agree.
Too, yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Central High, Candlelight Vigil. 7:30 p.m. tonight. Y'all make sure y'all go. Go to the vigil.
Make sure you go to the vigil
If
tonight.
you don't go to the vigil, make sure you try to get to the board meeting. The board meeting is at 9 a.m. It's the state board meeting tomorrow. I can't think of the name of the bill, but make sure y'all get up in there. And if you can't get up in there, tell somebody else to go for you.
You're going to have to go and find a place to park.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's not much parking at the Capitol. And the one parking lot that people used to use a while back, they've now blocked it off.
Yeah, they don't want y'all up in
That's
there.
just stupid, man.
We don't want y'all up in there.
Well, that's true. They
We don't want
don't.
y'all up in there. We got too much going on. We don't want y'all up in here.
By the way, hats off to the University of Texas at Austin. They're going to provide free tuition to undergrad students with family incomes below $65,000 beginning in 2020.
That's not bad.
That's a great idea.
That's not bad.
Because every school should do that. But of course, Arkansas will be last to get on board with
Arkansas
this.
will never do that.
Well, that's part of the problem. They don't have, as I was driving in this morning, I was trying to think, what is wrong with Arkansas? Their leaders. They don't have people who can look at the future and pass policies that will affect the future. They never have. That's part of the problem.
The one thing I don't want to do if I've been in a position of power is relinquish that power.
I know.
And the best way to make sure I keep that power is to make sure I maintain the status quo.
I agree.
By any means necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing here in Arkansas. And the funny thing about it is that many people don't get that. Many people that live right here, what bothers me more is someone saying when you're trying to make change and they won't participate in that act of change because of these same old excuse. Well, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. That's what you in the position that you in anyway.
Yeah.
That bothers me, man.
Well, it's a mentality. It's been taught to us. That's been taught to us. That's not something that we've learned. That's been taught behavior. We've been taught that they're going to do what they want to do, regardless of what we say, regardless of what we do. We have been taught that, and unfortunately, we keep doing it over and over. We keep following that logic over and over again.
And you certainly don't. Those people who try to educate you and tell you about these types of things, you look at them like they're crazy. Something's wrong with them, because they're going to do what they want to do anyway. Yeah, okay. Also, a historic day in Montgomery, Alabama. They elect their first African-American mayor. Congratulations to, and I had his name up here and it's just jumped off. But let's see. Congratulations to Stephen Reed, the mayor-elect from Montgomery, Alabama. The question is, will it make a difference for the people of Montgomery, the black people of Montgomery? Because I would argue that the majority, you probably got 98% of the vote from black folks.
Think so?
I'm pretty sure he did. Although Montgomery is no, I'm thinking Mobile. I like Mobile.
Yeah, Mobile's good.
Yeah, I like Mobile. I have never been to Montgomery, but I have been to Mobile. Okay, but congratulations to the mayor-elect Reed. No, it's not Reed. What did I say his name was? I forgot just that fast. I'm losing my mind. It was Stephen Reed. Okay. All right, so just want to make sure we covered everything. By the way, Posh, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing the more fallout. The Dallas Police Department held a press conference yesterday and tried to chastise Lee Merritt for quote-unquote jumping to conclusions as it relates to Joshua Brown's murder.
Lee Merritt? Who's Lee Merritt?
Lee Merritt was one of the lead attorneys for the Botham Jean family. And because, again, police, you can't claim victim because you have created this monster yourself. And they want to claim that he was trying to create tensions because he didn't believe that Joshua Brown was coincidentally murdered 2 days after the trial. And the sad thing about it, they got a black police chief, a woman. So, check this out. I was going to cover this today since we were talking about education in the last couple of minutes we have. Study finds students of all races prefer teachers of color.
So what now?
Study finds, according to NPR, students of all races prefer teachers of color.
Interesting. Did they say why?
Well, we can look at this, and if we don't get to it, we'll get to it tomorrow. But let's see. During they looked at a group of 1,700 6th through 9th grade teachers from more than 300 schools in cities and the country. The students had completed 30 question surveys asking about a variety of different dimensions of teaching. For example, how much does the teacher challenge the students? How supportive is she? How well does he manage the classroom? How captivating does she make the subject? Although NPR Education has reported before on the pitfalls of the students' evaluation used in many undergraduate classes, it's been independently linked to students gaining gains on test. The strongest positive relationship was the flip side of what was experienced in one of a gentleman's classroom. Asian American students had very rosy views of black teachers. The relationship persisted after controlling for student age, gender, their free and reduced price lunch status, and their academic performance. The researchers also controlled for other factors like the teacher's level of experience and education, their gender, and even outside expert ratings of the teacher's effectiveness based on classroom observations. No matter what, students had warmer perceptions of their teachers of color.
Really? We gotta talk about that more tomorrow. We ain't gonna go, man. Let's get on that tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. And we already know that black children fare far better with teachers of color, with black teachers, as opposed to white teachers. And certainly black males fare even better when there are black male teachers, as opposed to even black female teachers as well. And that's been proven out for decades, you know.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing right there. I didn't know that.
Well,
that's interesting. Let's look into that more tomorrow. Let's really dig into that.
The black female teachers that I had, all of them were kind of cute.
You want to do well.
So I was trying to impress them. I'm being honest.
I can't say what I want to say because I met Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson was my 3rd grade teacher. That was my
Woo! Oh man.
Miss J, what's up?
Let's see. I had black teachers all from 3rd grade on.
Yeah, Miss Barry was my 2nd grade teacher, but she was up in years, and she was still kind of, you know.
I had Miss Seward. Oh God.
Really?
And Miss Seward, and I actually went to school with her kids. I was crazy about Miss Seward, Miss Cox, Miss Jackson.
I started out in the 1st grade. I started out with Miss Branch, but I did some things that I'm not very proud of.
Robert.
And so I stayed in the hall a lot. So somebody else took me. Some other teacher took me and said, he can come to my room. He gonna be my student. I can't remember who she was now. She was so sweet.
Oh.
She just spared Miss Branch.
Isn't that
It was
special?
my goal to just make her resign. It was my goal to make her quit. I could not stand that woman.
Oh, you got plenty of beatings back in the day, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something interesting. I just thought about. Every year my mom always said, beat that thing, right? But it was some years, depending on who my teacher was, she never sent that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they never went back to school.
Okay.
You know, depending on who my teacher was.
Yeah.
But after a while, you know, it's cool though. I got it. I got it later. I got it much later, but I didn't get it then.
Look, somebody said, Lord Jesus, y'all still lusting after y'all teachers from 50 years ago.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, ma'am, we is.
And even though Ms. Ziegler was my teacher, she was, I used to go out her door. Her kindergarten class I went with the girls. I used to go out her door every day, even though it was across the building. I just wanted to see her when I walked by. Bye, Ms. Ziegler. I used to see you tomorrow, okay? You want me to bring your apple? I I did not care, brother. She was hot.
I know that's right.
Then we had Miss Dean. Miss Dean was fine too. Miss Dean drove a Corvette too. Miss Dean was hot. Oh my goodness. I remember one time I had to go I got in trouble with Mr. Ricks took me to teacher's lounge. I was in there listening to them. They was talking. They were just saying stuff. I knew they were talking about nice drink of water. Nice. I was just sitting there cheesing. I know who y'all talking about.
We gotta go. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, spend money on community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Remember, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but in times of challenge. Y'all have a great day.
Do your thing.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on JoinXRadio.com.
Hang on a minute.